Emily. That is so much fun. And I mean, it's great to see the orchestral perspective on this after checking out Andrew's really great octet version of this, right? So, like, this is just, huge expansion. And I think it works really, really well. There are a few things, perhaps maybe a little over the top. Maybe you don't really need them, like the piccolo part. It might be a little extraneous. But, I mean, there are some real cool ideas in here. I think that, like, if you're going to go down, up, down with your violins, then you do not need to slur your winds, right? I think it's better to have everybody have the same articulation style. Da 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 da. I mean, even the slur here might be a little extraneous. Now it's interesting how you are like joining sections together with this mezzo staccato stuff. All right, so it's like that wouldn't be my dramatic choice necessarily, because like part of Beethoven's strategy here is a real back and forth. It's just like this idea, da 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 bum bum ba bum bum da 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 bum ba da da. You know what I mean? It's just like there's a sense of like what the hell, right? So you're taking away my what the hells, like what is like da 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 da. What is this like? Britannia rule the waves. What are you putting that in there for? I mean, it's just so funny. I think that Beethoven was having a huge amount of fun with this sonata, and it was like one of his favorites to play, and it fits under the hand really nicely. Like if you're not afraid of black keys, just like it's just hell on wheels, and it's just real exciting. I had once planned a concert, which sadly, like the plans just didn't come through. But I was going to do everything in in six sharps or six flats. So I was going to do the two F sharp major Scarlatti harpsichord sonatas, and I was going to do like that beautiful E flat minor prelude and fugue by Bach and so on. So I had this, and this of course was going to be like the centerpiece, like the big finale was going to be this work. And I used to do like lecture concerts, so I would talk about the history of the work as I played it and so on. Well, not while I was playing. Okay, so to get back to this, it's okay. So all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the scoring, because like in terms of like the evaluation criteria, like shift of dynamic registers, implying contrast of texture. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wow, what a big contrast of texture here, just to go down to solo instruments. We'll talk about the efficacy of that in a minute. So, in like the whole thing about possibly going meno slightly a little bit right here and back to a tempo, like not, maybe that's just my idea and nobody else's, but, and there are further criteria to talk about here. Okay. So let's just focus on the scoring. So this is a big, like a very, very, very full in the mid range, okay, and like the problem that you are like what you are skirting here is you have your wind scored in the mid range right alongside your horns and so on. So what you get is a kind of a slightly sort of more earthy, maybe even a little cruder. Like I apologize for that that kind of negative sort of sounding thing. So you get a sense of overwhelmed strings right here. They are not going to contribute very much. So slightly cushioned brass, right, cushioned with the slightly inaudible strings, plus the the winds right in here. We've got you can see we've got the the English horn playing the same as the mostly the same as the first and third horn parts, like, and then here's like you get a little bit of second horn in the English horn part. So, look, you might want to like reapportion certain things. Like the trombones do not need any help here from the bassoons, right? The bassoons might be better off playing unison with the double basses, which they totally can, right? Because your double bass part doesn't go below B flat. In fact, it doesn't go below C, right? So like it, you have two bassoons all the way, strengthening this, and then this part will pop better, right? Right, the way that this is right now, the bass is kind of weak because your bassoons are doubling trombones and they can't be heard, right? Okay, and then two trumpets in what? Right, in C, right? But like just because it's in C doesn't mean you can't tell us what it is. It has to be in C or B flat, right? Or E flat if you're feeling very adventurous. So yeah, so two trumpets in C. Watch out for omitting things. If things could be in another instrument, or excuse me, in another key, tell us. English horn in F, right? Maybe you don't need to say that. It is always transposing in F, but still, yeah. All right. So, but back to the whole scoring thing is that like the strings also could be supporting the upper winds, and the upper winds could be coalescing. Like, see, like here you've got a pretty good idea here with the clarinets a little bit above the, they're just kind of doubling what's going on in the trumpets, right? So yeah, so they're like a lot of trumpet players and clarinetists do not like this combination, right? It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. And like perhaps you're thinking, well, because I already have strings and I also have strings in there, so that'll like help to blend the sounds of it. But like, I think that were the clarinets positioned higher harmonically, working inside or alongside the flute and the oboe, with the strings up there, then you just get a beautifully symphonic sound. It just will ring out, right? And then like, here it's just kind of strange. Like the trumpets are, you've got the contrary motion here, clarinets, horns, and so on. And like here, I like the bassoon scoring. Like this is better. But yeah, the strings could be supporting the just even in octaves up here rather than these thirds, right? The trumpets absolutely they don't need any help at all, right? They are so bright and so powerful, and I appreciate that you have brought them down a notch along with the trombones. All the brass could come down a notch. Okay, but just like with this kind of full-bodied classical era scoring, the strings work better in higher positions with the winds, and in lower positions with the bassoons, right? Or if you, let's say you had tuba in there like that or contrabassoon or whatever, that also would work better with like lower strings. And if you're going to be this powerful in the mid range with your brass, it's better to just have just the smallest amount of help to that, and then you get a beautiful wide color. Okay. Now, like, the whole question about solo strings here is how big is the hall, right? If you have a big, beautiful concert hall, like just massive, reverb to burn, the conductor will have to sort of slightly place this pickup, right? Because like especially with the timpani just going boom here, right? This will take over a lot of the resonance of the hall, so you might not even hear, like in terms of just playing a string trio here, you might not even hear these three instruments playing by themselves, right? So you've set that trap, and then with the full second violin section coming in here, they may have more, like even though you have this marked mezzo piano and this piano, They still might have more projection and more carrying weight than the instruments around them. So this might be better off as just a solo string player at the same dynamic, right? Okay, and then we've already talked about this chord. Now here we got English horn and oboe and bassoon. So you got your you got your double reeds all working together, and that's very fun. So no big critiques about that. Look, my screen keeps falling asleep for my other display. Yeah, I mean, you basically you're playing by Beethoven's rules and just scoring, transcribing directly. Yeah, and I mean, I really wonder if we even need slurs on any of these. Watch, I'll go back and look at my transcription and say, oh wow, I put all the slurs in. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, I just feel I'm not so in love with this. I mean, I feel that there's a breath there for a dramatic reason in the original transcription. I don't know. I don't think these parts. I think that they're better off separated, right, rather than being tied together. And this is so cool. The horns, bum 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 bum. Yeah, but I mean, not to get on my sort of get back to my pet ideas too much, but I mean, imagine if this were Menno a little bit, like da 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 bum 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 bum. Like yeah, more slurry on this. Like say, what if this were like portato, right? So like tenuto marks with a slur over it, and then everything up here, these two voices were slurred. And there was a bit of Menno here, and just kind of like cautiously, what is this? And then coming back, like take away the slur and like go staccato accent, but a bum bum, dun 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 dun, right? And just like keep it at piano, but like maybe have a little bit of a push here dynamically, and then tailing out again, and then leading back into this, right? So that might be a way of like bringing out the drama a little bit. You might not even need the cellos in there. But this is really nice. This that support in there that you are giving the second horn. It's not a bad idea. All right, right, and then like violas and bassoons, or the first bassoon, and then the first clarinet. Yeah, Okay, so all right, so remember what I was saying about this die 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 kind of thing happening in like strings, and like kind of how that was sort of hard to maintain. Like I mean, you only do it for like a few bars each for any given part, but I mean, I got to say that it's like I mean, it might be better to go duddle duddle, like just like under one breath rather than die die, right? Because like you have to think that like that just, I mean, there are parts where you can really use it for emphasis, but it's like almost sort of overemphasis. And if you look at like the way that like some Beethoven piano interpreters like they use it, this is to sort of flick off the second note. But that's nothing that these players could imitate for long periods of time without it. If they're able to do it, it's over affected, and if they're not able to do it, it falls apart, right? So that is the problem of taking that approach. So I'm just wondering if like maybe these could be consolidated, like slur by group, rather than like die die kind of like thing. Um, just save separated. And this, I did a whole thing about this in the pitfalls video. I don't think I should go over it again. All right, so just yeah, right, and then we kind of have the same problems. Okay, all right. So I don't want to kill all of our time talking about it. So yeah. So um, let's talk about some of the scoring. Yeah. So here the spread is a little bit better, right? Yeah. See, so more mid range in your brass, and then the you've got your winds around it, right? It's a less, it's the most of your winds are sort of are doubling, like say trumpets and so on, and trombones. I mean, don't you think possibly like boop 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 beep boop 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 do dee bop 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 bop. I mean, did these people need a little bit of help? Maybe more so than just doubling the trombones. The trombones, like once again, as I was saying before, they need zero help, right? Yeah. Maybe you need less brass than you think overall. I don't know. Just it just feels like like in a lot of your tutis, the winds are getting stomped on, right? The winds could be in higher positions. The bassoons could be doubling the basses and making that stronger and just kind of in more in character with the scoring. But I mean, this is cool. Like a yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I think it is so cool the way that like you use the forte sections as their own kind of massive tutti kind of parts, and the build up to them. That is just such a great idea. But like perhaps it's not indicated in the score, but I think dropping back down to piano and then crescendo to forte again is a good strategy. Yeah. Maybe a little less timpani. It just feels like the timpani is sort of pacing things. What if like you've got this cool kind of syncopation, dun dun, bum bum. Like what if the timpani was just going bum bum, bum bum. Do you know what I mean? Like as opposed to just kind of being there, because it feels like it is not only is it pacing everything, it's also kind of interfering with the functions of the of the bass line, right? And if the yeah, yeah. Okay, but this is cool right in here. I like this. And I think that there could be some dynamic pressure here, maybe a bit more crescendo going towards the end. Right, so because it really has to be dun 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 dun. Right, what is going on here? See, this is great. Like you've got things in higher positions. The oboe should be higher as well, and the viola could be an octave higher. Right, just get it out of the way of all this brass. All right. Okay, so yeah, so like once again, I just feel that the tie 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 is really really fiddly. I think the tie 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 tiddly tiddly, right? It's like it's a the whole separation of these tuplets is a really a finger articulation kind of a thing, right? So I mean, maybe to do things that are more in keeping with the the just the natural kind of articulation style of the winds and so on. I think would work better for you, which is a better strategy. Now, I don't know if you've seen Andrew's evaluation, but I talked a little bit about how one of the things that I covered in the pitfalls video was the need of the players to feel where the on beat is, right? So when you have these players coming in late, right? Like if you were to give your second clarinetist this G sharp, so they could go da ti I, right? As opposed to like ta, like it really you get parts that don't lock together as good if you don't give the player the downbeat. So give the second clarinetist the downbeat here. Give your first clarinetist the downbeat there, and so on. But like these other ones that are going, on beat, on beat, on beat, on beat, on beat. They can just start their little passage, following the flick of the conductor's baton, right? So they are together. That will hold together. I still don't like this articulation style. Like I think you can just do beam groups with your slurs, and won't hurt a thing. Right. And so yeah, so this, this oboe part, what's wrong with giving the oboe as this note here, right? Just like, bum da da. And then here the flute could go donk da da. And then they could even go, well, they could play it an octave higher. I think I did that at one point. I went ba ba da. But yeah, but like all of the sort of late stuff. Okay, and this is what I told Andrew. So if you haven't watched that video yet, so the more that you do this off the beats kind of stuff, and like you might be remembering something I said in the Pitfalls video, which is like, oh, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do this for reels for more than like a bar or two. All right, so but the more that you add bars like this, the more woodshedding it is going to take, and the more precious rehearsal time is going to take out of things where like the conductor could be doing like passage work, right? They could be like just trying to get the consistency of the passage better and balance things and doing all these wonderful things that have a great overall effect. But that has been like rubbished because we've got to spend time on this thing where the flute player is always coming in on the on-beat of 2 rather than the off-beat of 1, right? So just like with this just lightning fast stuff, you just really have to give it's just better in situations like this where especially fragments, like fragmented stuff. It's kind of better to have things like really organized, even if they just are meant to sound a little like off the cuff, right? And then like I think that there's a little bit of regularity here to the like you're following the players along, and that probably is this is intended to kind of help them, like the punctuation of the pizzicato is intended to kind of help them hit the on beats, right? So and I almost feel like you could you could have been like a little bit more sparse about it in certain places and like random about it in other places, So like maybe, as this is going, you could have, pluck, 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 bloop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that kind of the sort of silliness of the entire thing is lost a little bit because I feel that this kind of like it sort of controls it and it in the end, it is sort of dictating the direction of it rather than kind of adding this sort of sense of kind of horseplay and randomness and just utter silliness that like you can tell why Beethoven loved to like pull pranks in his music that like a lot of people just completely did not get, right? He was like a serious musician and a level of seriousness we just really had not seen, and yet he had inherited Papa Haydn's taste for just sheer fun too, which is just is all over his music, especially in places like this. So just watch out for some of this could be slightly disorganized in the pizzicato, and slightly reorganized in the winds, right? So there's nothing hugely wrong with this. It's just like like taking certain things into account to strengthen the ensemble, right? Okay, and then right here, I've already commented on the problems inherent. It's essentially, fairly much the same as before. But I really love this right in here, the sort of this scoring right in here. It's kind of nice because like everybody is in, well, the flutes are sort of in their middle register, right? And like the English horn is going to be a little thinner up here, but the oboe is going to be in like a beautiful strong register, right? But I mean, it's all right. They'll balance this, like it'll like a little wind quintet, or excuse me, quartet. Yeah, and same things before. I've commented on tying things together, and this is really lovely here. English horn and clarinets working together with the English horn as the middle voice. This is a situation where you could have possibly also used like bass clarinet or something like that, but I mean you don't have room for it in your ensemble, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is very cool. No complaints there. This is a little stretched out. You can see that like you have a little bit more space here, so perhaps this last bar could have gone into the next page because it's rather squished. Okay, so now, like you have a bit of a different strategy here. So you have the oboe rather than the clarinet leading forwards, right? But otherwise, it's the scoring is fairly much the same. Right, just like slightly different positioning of the clarinet, like clarinet's working with the English horn and so on. Yeah, yeah, and same comments. I feel that the bassoons could be helping out the lower strings, and yeah, just kind of keeping the these parts higher. I think works better. You're putting more pressure on the yeah. And yeah, just once again, oboe is really beautiful kind of idea. Yeah. Okay, so that takes us to this last little part here. Yeah, and I just feel like you could easily do beam groups that are da 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 rather than da 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 da. I mean, there's a certain excitement that would come with the bowing the way that you have got it here, and that's all cool. And the concerns of staying on the beat are a little less dire when you are playing along with an ongoing rhythm in other instruments, right? So, some of my concerns are not quite as weighty, but I still feel like the English horn is not going to have any problem here, da 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 da. But, like, I would still write the bassoon part being bump, bada, bump, bada, bump, bada, bump, bada, right? And maybe that's not what you want, but, like, I think it will work out better. Especially if, like, when you consider that in essence it's just doubling the clarinet part, right? Maybe you don't even need these double reeds here, and maybe you can just leave your clarinets in there. This is very polite the way that you are trading off, but like I wouldn't make this a duet here. I would have this be second clarinet to first to second to first to second to first. Actually, reverse it. This should be first, that should be second. First, second, first, second. Right? That just makes more sense. Yeah. Anyways, but wow, cool score, Emily. I mean, um, yeah, I love the majesty of it. You know what I mean? Like just you just put so much energy into it, and yeah, the sense of, despite all the things that I was saying about the previous page, the sense of horseplay comes through beautifully, and almost like godlike wit of Beethoven. He just was incredible. In just like all of the shifting moods and the contrasts and the wildness and everything, like we just so much color and life and ingenuity that he could get out of just a simple piano piece, and that opens the door for orchestration so well. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think you've got the general idea down. Like you notice that I sort of picked apart certain approaches and certain things, but like, yeah, and a few scoring questions here and there in terms of like the proportions and like where to put the strength of the color. But like overall, it hangs together really beautifully, right? It's not like this is a score with dire problems. It's just the stuff that needs fixing is really easy to fix, if at all. So so if any of that is useful, then yeah, then go ahead and use it, right? In whatever next project that you do. And yeah, wow, like with your imagination and your capability that you're showing here, I just feel that the next option, the next selection that we have for next year's orchestration challenge is really going to be like that may challenge you in new ways and bring out a whole new creative side of you. And I would really look forward to seeing how you handle that. And just like it was great to look at your score recently in Patreon and to give you some feedback in person with that. And yeah, just you obviously have a knack for like bigger textures and so I mean just yeah, whatever you can do to get more playing opportunities, more orchestration accomplishments under your belt, and just getting better and better at it and so on. And yeah, you just really have something worth developing here and worth getting played. So great work. All right, so everybody, you guys know what to do. I'm sure people are bristling with comments, and they may have made them already. So give Emily a little bit of help here. And Emily, like you've got insights and comments and helpfulness and all this other stuff. It would be great to hear more of your comments on some of the more of the scores that have been released recently, and that just is always great to hear. So thanks everybody. I cannot believe it. I was able to do 3 evaluation videos, or to record them before going off to rehearsal with NZSO. So yeah, I just really feel jazzed about it. This has given me a lot of energy, though it's used up a bit of my voice. So hopefully I won't have to do too much shouting at rehearsal. But if it's anything like last time, it'll be, giving the odd suggestion here and there to the conductor and to the choir master. And fortunately, our conductor is a choir master already for a different choir. So he works really, really well with the choir master of the Pacifica Choir. That is our our featured performer. So I'm not anticipating any problems. So it's going to be great. And I will share any of that with you maybe next year, or maybe make that a sort of a Patreon only thing, or maybe I'll talk about it in the finale video for this orchestration challenge. So thanks everybody. I mean it. You guys have been so helpful to me, and you've shared so much great stuff with each other, and I really appreciate all that. It's just it's helping me recover much more quickly, I think, than otherwise. So that's also something to be thankful for. Have a great day, everybody, and there will be more uploads, more evaluations of these great entries coming up very, very soon.